We've spoken before on this channel about fighting game finishes that are so awkward, embarrassing, or downright humiliating that you'll die of embarrassment before you die of blunt force trauma.
Johnny Cage wins.
Well, buckle up friends, as it turns out that we were just scratching the surface, so get ready to point your eyeballs at 7 more of the most embarrassing finishing moves in fighting games that you definitely don't want to be on the receiving end of. Pullum Purna is a character from the Street Fighter EX series of 3D fighting games, who is kind of like if Jasmine from Aladdin became a Street Fighter and her tiger became a mostly nude wrestler with an impressive mustache. As a fighter, she's a formidable foe, using various elegant, dance-inspired punches, kicks, and throws to defeat opponents who are often twice her size, even if they are wearing half the amount of clothes. Her Meteor combo finishing move, however, known as Gradeus Pearl, is a somewhat less respectable move to be knocked out with, consisting, as it does, of Pullum Purna literally dancing you to death. Music starts playing and Pullum starts spinning so compellingly that her opponent is forced to join in. She spins faster and faster before finally her opponent gets so dizzy they lose consciousness and pass out. Which makes sense for some characters, I guess, but come on Zangief, like 80% of your moves involve you spinning around. You think you'd be better at this?
Attack!
Kisarah Westfield is the sort of fighting game character who used to crop up in beat-em-ups in the 1990s, in that she's a high school student who's entered an incredibly deadly fighting tournament in order to get a boy to like her. I don't know, Kisarah, maybe try talking to him about shared interests or something instead? Or not. Anyway, Kisarah is a particularly vicious and elusive fighter, using her agility to land powerful kicks and strikes on her opponents, but it's her desperation move, Jealousy Bomber, that's most embarrassing to be taken down by.
You win!
That's because it involves Kisarah magicking a hunky guy out of thin air and making out with him until her opponent's heart breaks and they literally explode with jealousy.
You win!
Although to be fair, if you liked her that way, Guy, maybe start having a fist fight with her in the street. Just a suggestion. Tends to put people off.
You win!
You followed me.
You need me here.
Has anyone ever agreed with that statement?
Round 1. Fight!
In Mortal Kombat X, Blanche is the name of the old lady bystander found in the Outworld Marketplace stage, who has probably just popped out to pick up some... What do they sell here anyway? Fruit? Giant cat monsters? Probably one of those. Anyway, Blanche's primary purpose on this stage is to be picked up and chucked at various mortal combatants, causing not very much damage. To the fighters, I mean. Pretty sure Blanche dies. Anyway, you can only push people so far until they snap, which is why Mortal Kombat X added a couple of secret stage brutalities to the Outworld Marketplace stage, both of which involve Blanche and are massively embarrassing to be on the receiving end of. In the first one, your opponent throws Blanche at you as usual, but rather than her bouncing off and you taking a little damage, you messily explode like someone put a firecracker in a pan of bolognese.
Suck on that.
The second brutality is even worse. In this one, Blanche hits you with a flying crossbody and then proceeds to beat you to a pulp with her tiny old lady fists.
Do you need it?
Kenshi wins.
Yikes, might be time to start shopping somewhere else.
だったら僕たちがやっつけなきゃ。ちょっと待ちなよ。たった一人で世界に見え切っちゃう相手だよ。怖くないの？ピンチな時こそ笑顔がジェリーフィッシュ海賊団のルール。ジョニーがいたら同じことすると思うな。
There are plenty of embarrassing ways to get knocked out in the Guilty Gear game, from having your face forcibly rearranged by a weirdo with a bag on his head, To having a vampire doing a Sean Connery impression read you some of his haikus.
Now in succession, flying at the speed of light, drenched in heavy sweat.
The one we least enjoy being on the receiving end of, however, is May's destroy move known as "And Then She Said Farewell." May, for the uninitiated, is a spunky sky pirate armed with an anchor, a sassy attitude, and occasionally a host of overjoyed sea creatures. More embarrassing than being poked unconscious by a bottlenose dolphin, however, is the aforementioned destroy move, in which May knocks you out and you wake up in what you quickly realise is a cannon. You quickly realise that because May fires you out of it into space, Team Rocket style. Bear in mind, May's crew, the Jellyfish Pirates, are sky pirates, so you're already 10,000 feet up in the air. You're going to have a decent amount of time to think about this before you eventually crash into the sea and die. And you thought Eno was the cruel and sadistic one. Jeez. In what is absolutely a mother-effing JoJo reference, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven, is a PS4 fighting game based on the popular series that more than lives up to its name. Eyes of Heaven does a great job capturing the stylish and over-the-top action of its source material, with tons of special moves that you can use to finish off your incredibly fashionable and well-cheekboned foes. Then there's Iggy. A small black and white Boston Terrier dog with a bad attitude, Iggy enjoys being rude and gross to people, something that carries over into his special moves, such as Foul Beast, in which he farts in his opponent's face, and his cinematic finisher, in which his stand, The Fool, wrecks you up and then, to add insult to injury, Iggy bites you on the nose. I know they're all good dogs, but man, that is one bad dog. Orchid from the Killer Instinct series is a secret agent and Spec Ops assassin who is shrouded in mystery, as is the reason why she's dressed like she's halfway through changing into a Battletoads cosplay outfit. Anyway, Orchid is a tough fighter and able to hold her own against the other characters in Killer Instinct, who include a world-class professional boxer, an Iceman, a werewolf, and a fire elemental, so pretty good going. That brings us to her fatality. Where other fighters in Killer Instinct have finishing moves where they break their opponent's necks, freeze them solid and shatter them, or blast them with superheated plasma, Orchid's finisher is a bit more embarrassing to lose a fight to on account of how it's her undoing her top, flashing you, and then you dying of a heart attack, I guess? It sort of makes sense for Jago, he's her half-brother, after all, but I'm not entirely sure why, for example, a robot made of swords is bothered enough by Orchid's chest to explode and then die. And if you were thinking of countering this by playing a second Orchid, don't bother. It still works, only now your Orchid just ends up angrily stamping her foot in a jealous rage, and you're told you still lost. What are you jealous of? That's literally you. In a game where one of the characters is a pirate skeleton, this is the thing that makes the least sense. Speaking of things that don't make sense, how about Dimitri's Ultra Combo from the Darkstalkers series? For context, Darkstalkers is a series of goth beat-em-ups from Capcom that are kind of like if someone let Tim Burton direct a Street Fighter game. All the characters are vampires, ghosts, mummies and werewolves, and their various special moves invoke horror tropes and occasionally basketball. The character Dimitri Maximov, however, has a special move called Midnight Bliss, and if he manages to catch you with it, you might want to keep it to yourself. Dimitri is your classic Count Dracula type vampire, just with a cooler haircut and much, much tighter clothes. As such, he needs to drink blood to survive, although according to his character bio, he prefers to drink blood from young and innocent girls, probably because vampires are total posers and have an image to maintain. The problem here is you'll notice that a lot of Darkstalkers characters aren't particularly young, or girls, or indeed innocent, but something like that isn't going to stand in the way of Dimitri getting a good meal, so he takes matters into his own hands and literally turns your character into a young, innocent version of themselves, turning them female if they're a male, and drinking all their blood.
Come on.
Most of the time. Some of them become weird anime characters, or a mermaid, or a nurse for some reason.
Come on.
This also worked on all the Street Fighter characters when Dimitri made an appearance in SNK vs Capcom SVC Chaos, so if you've ever wanted to see what a gender-swapped Ken would look like in a wedding dress, this is the game for you.
Come on, baby.
It's basically weird fan art, the special move. What's the matter, Dimitri? Too computer illiterate to figure out how to create a DeviantArt account?
Come on, baby.
There you have it. There were some more of the fighting game finishes so embarrassing you daren't show your face anymore, not least because it's now the face of a 12-year-old mermaid nurse. Any more favourites we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and like and subscribe for more videos like this from Outside Xbox. Thanks for watching.